Hello, my name is Janet Lee. I'm the illustrator for Return of the Dapper Men and a new book coming out this summer called Sea Sirens. And this is 11 O'Clock Comics.
Perfection. Last episode of the year, people.
Yeah, went out in style.
Yeah, man.
The month.
Wrap it up.
This year went by very quickly.
It really did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It did. Blink of an eye, really.
And I was looking at my notes that I have tallied over the course of the year. We got a lot of good books in 23.
Sure enough.
Yep.
You'll have a chance to celebrate those in a few weeks at the 11 O'Clockers.
Exactly. Yeah. See, I'm trying to get it, even though they probably won't hear this part, but yeah. Yes.
Indeed.
Filling your ears for the last time in 2023. It's 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 886. And I'm Baby New Year. No, I'm just happy.
And the sash.
Yeah. And the monocle. I'm Vince B.
Oh, thank goodness you are Vince B. I am David A. Price.
That's true. And attention, y'all, because I am Conrad Hauser.
Oh, I did not think that.
I saw it coming.
Well, only because I haven't read that issue yet, but I was thinking, based on that whole single page splash page with his introduction in the second issue, I could have sworn our man would have been somebody from World Without End.
Oh, look at that. Mayhap not. Maybe Happy didn't like it. Because this, to springboard off DAP, is our Book of the Month episode. Again, the last Book of the Month episode for the year. This time around, we'll be taking a look at World Without End from DC in 1990. Written by Jamie Delano with art by John Higgins. We'll get to that. But before we do, we want to remind you who made this possible. CheapGraphicNovels.com. Say it with me. CheapGraphicNovels.com. Where do you go to get your omnibus editions, your trade paperbacks, your original graphic novels, your manga, and all other sorts of book? Well, you go to cheapgraphicnovels.com because prices are so low, you'll save more than you will at Amazon. It's craziness. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to take a look around. You're going to see the prices and go, my goodness, I've been in the dark for very long. I'm going to order this and I'll add this to my order. And then you send it and you get a confirmation saying, thank you for your order. You're going to reply to that confirmation saying 11 O'Clock Comics sent me. And Max is going to say, well, smart person, you are going to get free shipping on your next order. And that's when you bring it on home. You got lots of stuff coming. So just go there. You will save massively. Trust us, but trust your eyes. Just go there and see. CheapGraphicNovels.com.
Nice. Well done.
Yes.
Indeed.
I'm kind of sad because I don't have a Marvel book this week because I want to use the Tony Fleecs Marvel Minute thing that he did last episode. I did capture it, and you will hear it again. But unfortunately, no Marvel from me this week. Bet you're happy, Jason.
I mean, you didn't read Timeless?
I mean, I was going to say, I thought
with the iconic debuts?
I have it. I didn't read it yet.
I haven't read it either.
The only reason I have it was because I thought it was Dr. Doom. And it's not. It's not.
Not Atuma.
No. Atuma would be an uptick on that book. Yes.
Ouch.
I am drinking.
Yeah, you are.
I got a bunch of stuff gifted to me for Christmas by my beautiful daughter. The two of which I have with me now. They're 16 ounces, so I only went with two. But maybe later on, if we go long, I'll go grab another one. This is the old standby, Arrogant Bastard Ale. And this other one is called Log Yard. Gentleman's Agreement, IPA. Yes.
Interesting.
There we go.
What you got, Bo?
I have Watermelon grape seltzer.
Oh my goodness! Not even on the last episode.
Bringing in that new year early.
Well, listen, I had mimosas at Christmas, and it's New
How are
Year's
the
Eve.
Kennedys?
They'll be coming. They arrive tomorrow.
Oh no.
And then and then New Year's you drink on, so it's not a day for
Pacing yourself. No, I respect it. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple days this week where I didn't have anything, so I get you. Yeah, all grown up. This is a Pinot Noir from Castle Rock Winery, California, from 2021. What the hell does the bottle say? It is elegant, medium-bodied, offering complex aromas of raspberry, dried herbs, and allspice. I don't know why allspice is separated from the herbs, but it's light and really unassuming. It's a little smooth, so yeah, I'll be finished with this soon.
Dang. Words are triggers, aren't they?
Sure. Yes. Oh, yes.
Because when you say Castle Rock, I think of Stephen King.
Yep.
Sure.
And the book about which we will be talking tonight has a lot of word triggers.
Oof. Yes. That wasn't an oof in a bad way. That was yes. I mean,
the language in this is very carefully crafted.
And
interesting.
And I'm a little
choice of words.
I'm a little bummed that they gave us a cheat sheet in like the third issue, because I was having fun just like deciphering it as I'm reading it.
You don't even need it.
No, you don't.
You don't.
But I'm curious for those because I have the 6 single issues. It's a 6-issue miniseries. For those of you who have the collected edition, is the back matter from each issue at the end of each issue in the collection, or do they collect it all at the end after the 6th chapter, and then you can read these love letters between Anne and Dana and from the guild, so to speak. But yeah, well, we're obviously going to get into it, but yes. I am curious to know if the back matter breaks up the issues or if they kept it all to the back of the collection.
And the book in question, once again, is World Without End. It was a 6-issue miniseries published by DC Comics in 1990, written by Jamie Delano, and art by John Higgins.
Late 1990, because the 6th issue, there are a couple issues that have 91 in the...
so see, Dap wouldn't have ever nominated this for the 90 Oscars.
No.
Not the 90, yeah.
No,
yeah,
does not comply.
92.
Yes.
Well, so the question, of course, before us is, Vince, when is the first time you read this?
I read them as they were coming out, my friend.
I assumed as much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a hot time for this type of book in particular, the British invasion, right, where Vertigo was very hot. That was when I was in college and wasn't buying comics. The only time in my life, but that was so. How about you, Dad?
I read it for our book of the month. I've had them forever. I think it was Heroes when Vince told me to buy
Heroes.
It. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, they've been on the spinner rack behind me for a long time, and just I just never found time to just sit down and read them, and then. But hey, book of the month, got to do it. So I'm glad I did it.
Nice. And for me, I read it this past week, first time. Not surprising.
Yes. I've reread it a number of times since it came out. Yeah. Yes. And,
I think for Jason, it's first time, last time.
Well, as I was rereading it for this episode, I'm thinking, my man's going to have something to say.
It's like we know him.
Yeah. For those of you playing along at home who haven't read this book, to participate in this episode, it is a weighty read. There is a lot of narrative boxes. There's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of words, period, in this book. It is not a very quick read.
No, it's not.
What say ye, Jason?
Listen, I don't want to be the narrator of the story because I got to keep it 100 with everybody. I dislike this with great intensity, like to the point where, again, being completely honest, I'm 15 pages into the first issue and thinking, it's a good thing I love these motherfuckers because I would just close this book and give this 6-issue series away without ever reading it in a care package because I didn't, can we do what we do? I kept reading, and then I thought, okay, maybe the start's rough, but we're going to find our groove. And I mean, from my vantage, my dislike intensified as it went on, not lessened. So yeah, I mean, I can guess why a lot of people like it and why you two would like it a bit more than me. But yeah, this was pretty offensive to my senses, if I'm being honest.
Wow. well, I love it. I'm not going.
You've reread it multiple
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
I won't mince words, but the best way I could describe this book is the language in this book is like my dialogue in a corporate environment. Like the nexus of this book, it's a battle of the sexes, male versus female, and Delano goes to extremes in his verbiage to use words like engorged, heaving, thrusting. There are, you just look at any page and you will find a word akin to either the genitalia or the reproductive act. Not tied to those things within the narrative. He could be describing a car. There's no cars in it. But if he were describing something as mundane as a car, he would say the engorged tires licked the surface of because the book is all about sex and reproduction. And the pitting the male against the female. And that's basically what the book is. It's this society called Bedlam, which is it's a very male-dominated society. The Bedlam is a living organism. The surface of this realm is alive, and they call it the host. When the book opens, Bedlam's extremely unstable. The reproduction doesn't take place in the typical manner in this book. They have these wombs that belch out new citizens, mostly male, but they produce females, which they call the skitten. They produce females as even lower than slaves. They use them for entertainment purposes. The higher ups use them, and then they're either killed or discarded. Like women are less than single cell organisms in this book. Not in the Bedlam realm. And the males are called the Gess, Gess, and like it's a very patriarchal society. There's no queens, right? And everything is done for the organism that is the Gess. They have all these guilds that take care of everything. And in the first issue, and this is what really painted the Gess as assholes. I mean, other than the fact that they think of females as less than animals. There's a guild called the which one is the guild that monitors the society? The Inquisitors Guild. And they have flying soldiers called wingmen. And the wingmen patrol Bedlam, and they're monitors. They look for anything that's out of sorts or a little bit off or anything of note that they should go back to their superiors and report. Well, like I said, in the beginning of the book, Bedlam, which is an appropriate name, it's on the skids because the people are there's mass paranoia. The wombs are drying up, and the little few organisms that they do produce are very high in deformities. The youth of Bedlam are rioting. They're sowing their wild oats. They're going against the dictum, right? The dictates of the society. So the wingman is flying around and he sees a female emerge, this grotesque, large-breasted female, and she's singing to the moon. And organisms start sprouting from the core of Bedlam, like distorted organisms, and she's actually giving birth in a sense, because it's her and her song that is giving rise to these creatures that are emerging from the depths of Bedlam. And he's like, oh shit. So he goes back to the Guild of Monitors, and he tells him, he's like, something is not right. This is what I've seen. This goes against everything. It's an abomination. We need to act now. And the head monitor's like, did you tell your superiors about this yet? And he's like, no, I thought it was so important that I just came right here and told you. After a healthy dose of flagellation, he's whipped bloody because he was out in the unclean part of the realm, and they need to purge themselves of their sins, so they're regularly flogged. It's a cool. It's very. There are ties to ancient religious practices in this book. That whenever you were exposed to the unclean, you beat yourself senseless to purge the evil or the taint from your body. Well, it's no different here. And so he goes to the monitor, and he's killed for his efforts. He's forced to commit suicide, and I liked him. I thought Wingman Earl was like a decent character in that he's very driven by duty, and he had the sights that greet his eyes actually make him vomit. I mean, because it goes against everything he believes. So he goes back and he's killed for his efforts. And I'm like, these motherfuckers are nasty. They would take this soldier that who acts for nothing else than the betterment of the realm or the protect the realm, and he comes back with his findings, and he's just killed. Like it was very disheartening when I first read it, and even after, I mean, I knew it was coming, but it still paints a really appropriate picture as to the people in charge of this bedlam. They're not nice people, and they're all men. Go figure. But to go issue by issue would probably drive both Jason and the listeners crazy, because long story short, the woman that was instigating the rise of these creatures, they eventually name her Rumor. And I thought, and I don't know if either of you may have picked up on this, and I'd love to talk to Jamie Delano to get the lowdown on this. She's extremely grotesque in the first issue. Big red eye and a squinty yellow eye, and she's got spines all over, and she pendulous breasts all swinging all over. And then as the story progresses, she takes on a different aspect of a very lithe, very slender young lady, very, visually beautiful, right? And I'm thinking, did they do a 180? Did they originally intend the woman to look that grotesque, and then they thought, you know what, this thing would sell better if we had a lot of attractive nudity? I don't know. The book is very explicit, but it's subversively so. Like there are cave openings in this book that are obviously the female genitalia. I mean, there's no question about what's going on.
Like the whole push scene. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are analogs for the human birth process. The Guild of Monitors have a sperm on their headgear, right? Their little emblem is a descending sperm, but they don't. Sex is not traditional in this book. Even eventually, when the females show up, yes, there is another group removed from Bedlam that consists of nothing but females. and they're called the Famish, of which the Scarlets, that's harlot with an SC. They are the head, led by the Dam, and they need men to produce more of their kind, but they don't. Again, they basically digitally stimulate the male organ and catch the sperm. That's it. There's no sex. Well, I guess you can call that sex, right? Handjob sex, but there's no traditional skin-on-skin male-female procreation in their worldview. And so, as you would expect, the Bedlam guests go up against the Famish. How? Well, they create the pinnacle of the male organism, an agent that will remove the scourge of female from the face of the planet, and this entity is called Brother Bones. And as David alluded to in the beginning of this discussion, Brother Bones speaks in an affected language. Words are intentionally misspelled. Characters are flipped backwards. Sounds are represented by letters. Maybe something with an O with an umlaut is one sound. And it's easy to decipher when you're reading it. But if you saw it, if you looked at the actual language as written, and like you didn't try to read it, you just looked at it. Looks like there's a lot of foreign characters in there. It looks like a glitch, like when you open up an old text file and you got a bunch of shit in the middle of a sentence. Like that's kind of what it looks like. But
so like the dollar sign is an SH sound, and the cent sign it would be a CH sound. And it aside from when they do things like that, like they just kind of make the TH one kind of character. The rest of it is written, or they speak as though as they speak, and you're reading it. It's almost as if someone new to the English language is just writing it phonetically. Words are just shortened, or instead of it ending with like a CHUR, it's just like a KUR. It's really Victor is spelled with a K. It serves. And then what somebody who does speak without those characters, it's like Bones and someone else can have a conversation using the same words. It's just obviously they're going to look differently because someone is speaking them the way they're written as we read them. And then, but yeah,
I'm sure that put off a number of readers when it originally was published, but I love it because
I do too.
It makes you focus on what he's saying. Like, I think not that the words have more weight, but that you have to. It's not difficult to read, but the more you like an entire issue of him speaking is very tedious to read after a while. It's not difficult, but it's just that you have to be alert and aware as to what you're deciphering to get the message. And I like making the reader work for the message. I've always loved when an author will present a work as intended, not thinking, well, this is going to be difficult to read. Like, again, Burroughs is my dude. So Naked Lunch is an extremely difficult book to read. James Joyce, Ulysses, try and read that shit. It's you have to be on the very precipice of your awareness. You have to invest yourself in the work. And that's what one of the things I love most about what Delano and Higgins did here is like, they're not suffering fools. You either come to the work or you don't.
I can only imagine if how. I don't know if Richard Starkings was feeling some kind of way as he had to letter these issues whenever Bones is speaking.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I think Higgins said that the book took 2 years to complete.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's all painted. I mean, he put in the work.
It's insane. but I mean, I know the go-to is, looks like something from heavy metal, but I think it's more 2000 AD. I think this,
and
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
it looks 2000 AD.
Absolutely. I mean, there's especially when we get to the Scarlets and Rumor is kind of just making her way from one land to the next. It reminded me of Peter Sue's Quadrant.
A little bit like Quadrant, yeah. I think it kind of resembles Pat Mills and Kevin O'Neill's Nemesis a little bit too, just because a lot of the language is very similar to Nemesis, like the termagants and the you get the higher ups speaking very black and white language as far as the Empire is concerned, and it's the flagellation aspect of it, and just the giving yourself over completely to a cause when the perpetrators of said cause are the most corrupt individuals in the entire realm. So it thematically it fits in with Nemesis. But yeah, Jason, you're really quiet. Did you hate it that much?
Yeah. I mean, and it's like you almost. It's a good thing I'm cardiovascularly fit, because you trying to compare this to James Joyce, I want to die inside.
No. See, that's again. What do you want on social media? I'm not comparing this book to James Joyce. I'm comparing the need to be completely aware and attuned to the language in order to decipher it.
Sure.
That's what this is not. Yeah. No, come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm trying to. It's always difficult for me, and I'm sure the same for you guys, if you don't like something and you have to talk a long time about it, because it's like I don't want to like tear it down in a way that like makes other people feel like that they shouldn't enjoy it. But at the end of the day, for me, like everything you consume, you just get a feeling for, and so I came at this feeling differently than you two guys, in the sense that like it all felt so indulgent, like beyond comprehension to me. Like as someone who uses a lot of different words and has been called verbose and the like, and has a genuine appreciation for language, this felt like someone was trying to see how indulgent they could be with the English language, between making up words and names for people in groups that we're just supposed to decipher, even though there's no context to. I mean, some of these passages, it's like I felt like he was looking up words in the thesaurus and trying to find the longest version and then putting it into the sentence when it didn't need to be there. It's just, I was just overwhelmed by it. Like, I found the written word offensive in this book. Like, wow. I thought it was so indulgent. And like, so it felt like someone was either trying to trick people into thinking he had something to say and is a fraud, or what he had to say was nowhere near as deep as he thought it was. Like, and that's my big issue with this. Like, I understand. Like, yes, you summed it up. It is a story about the extreme future state of femininity and masculinity. But like, what's Delano trying to say? Like, what is he trying to say about it? Like, what's the message?
Well, I think one of the messages was that the female society, the famish, are in every way analogous to the male. The male society think that, like the guests, they believe that women are nothing more than tissues, just discard after you've used them. And the same is believed by the famish. They feel the exact same way. Like, the men are just used for their sperm, and that's it. Because the one, as soon as Rumor gets there, and she says, this is where I come from, the guests are, my society's mostly male. And one of the famish says something like, can you believe that? It must be like horrible. Must be terrible. And there's, I thought that when you said it, about the complexity of the language, or the forced complexity of the language, your words, I guess. the first issue reads like the Book of Genesis to me, especially the beginning of it, where it's just like, this is the planet, this is how it is, this beget that, and this area is, the heaving hills of flesh and the tattered skin on the ramparts, and even the towers in which the guests live. Delano equates them to an erect penis. I mean, the language is right there. The veiny, he uses erect too. The engorged towers of the guests. Like, it's very, you have to see it coming, right? Where I don't think he couches any of his concept in shadow. Like, it's all right there. Right?
Yeah.
But
it's not subtle.
No, it's not subtle at all. But the thing that there's something about the title that I haven't deciphered, because World Without End is the very last line of the Catholic Act of Contrition. And there's something about that title. Why would he choose that title for this book, knowing that it is the last line of the Act of Contrition? And an Act of Contrition is basically, I mean, I can recite it exactly. This thing was beaten into me as a young Catholic. I grew up Catholic, but it's a statement of fealty to an omnipresent God, right? I'm sorry, I fucked up, did something wrong. Hope I didn't offend you, but if I did, it's my fault, and hopefully I'll never do it again, right? So why would you title this work in this manner to make someone who knows, the Act of Contrition? There's got to be something in the work that not an apology, maybe a plea to something that, hey, we're fucking up. This may be a work of fiction, but this whole male female dichotomy we got, and how we're maligning each and going against whatever thing you had planned. Like, I don't know, but I just find it very curious. To World Without End, like, why would you call it that? It has nothing to do. Obviously, there is an end to these two worlds because they go away. Mm-hmm. Right? At the end, to spill the beans, I love the ending, by the way, because it's just like, okay, this male-female thing's not working out. Let's just combine them. Let's just combine them and a race of hermaphrodites.
Hermaphrodite.
Hermaphrodite. It's actually hermaphrodity, which again plays into the God, like some kind of a creator at work in this thing, where the planet just like starts belching out early man, but they have both male and female sex organs, and that was the solution. If it doesn't work, just smack them together, and okay, now we got a 2-for-1. Yeah, BOGO. I've never. I understand the ending, but I don't think it's a solution. I think it's a Band-Aid. Like, okay, these two organisms that are genetically very different can't seem to get along, so we'll just force the issue and combine them. Now you have to get along because there's only one of you. Is that a solution? I don't know. It just seems like I don't even have words to describe what I think it seems like. It's just it's an, should I say it? I think it's an inadequate ending to the whole stuff that went on in the previous 5.5 issues. Mm-hmm. It seems weird. I get a 2001 vibe at the end because they all look like the apes throwing up the bone, but they just have breasts and meat and veg.
Yep.
So I don't know. The ending is still maybe we're not meant to understand it. Maybe it's just two organisms combined into one, and that's the new paradigm. Maybe it's saying that the genders don't really matter.
I was curious about it after reading it. Thought, well, what the hell is this about? So I did read some stuff from Delano from back in, this is 10, 12 years ago. And I mean, he intended it to be that the masculinity, continued to gain more and more control to the point where it drove the world to essentially, its end, and that the creator wanted to insert woman into that to basically reset things. That was what he was going for. And I was like, okay. I'm like, could have been a little more straightforward with it, but cool.
And there's a lot of language alluding to the serpent in the Garden of Eden.
Sure. Yeah. So, that's what I think he was going for. I mean, in as much, yeah. But it's like, when I'm sure a lot of people listen to something about coding games or whatever, but how obviously these days you can have, people can swap out character costumes because they're just built separate from the character model, right? I feel like the things that you're describing in this book are the things I assume is why people that do like it like this book. I don't necessarily have an issue with the subcomponents, the structure of it. It's, to me, the veneer, the skin, the mod that he decided to wrap all of the messaging in, that is where he lost me. I feel like if he just gave me a more streamlined, say what you want to say, tell me the fantasy story you want to tell me, with a lot of this, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I can get with this. But, yeah, I don't know. It just felt like he either was mocking the idea of important stuff or, he was just coming at it from a very, late 80s typical male perspective where he didn't, he thought he knew a lot more about the opposite sex and the importance of each sex than he really ever took the time to know. But, but again, I guess if he really intended it as he said, then, good for him, because that certainly was a viewpoint that was not, wasn't really, I think, the widely held viewpoint at the time by most men. So, maybe he was more based than it seems to me in the way it's executed.
Right. Well, let's be totally honest. If anything does bring this planet down, it's going to be the male.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
And I see a lot of Genesis Peorage in this book too. If you, the listener, aren't familiar with Genesis, Genesis was born male, but eventually had breasts implants, and was a firm believer of that. The sexes will someday dovetail. And he was a living embodiment of that, where he had male genitalia, but he had breasts. And for visually, if you didn't have X-ray vision and could see through his pants, you would assume at one point that he was female. So there's the whole pandrogyny thing that is very prevalent, especially in the last issue. But as to whether or not it's a fitting solution to the narrative, I again, I've read this many times, and I still don't think that it's the perfect ending. But what is, it's an ending. Yeah. I love this book. I'm sorry. I think the Higgins's art is alternately gorgeous and extremely grotesque. He can do a vista that is just aesthetically beautiful, and then populate it with these horrible individuals. The skin looks like it's dripping off their bodies, and they've been combined with machine parts. And again, that's another, I don't want to say aberration, but a diversion from the purity of the genetics, where the men don't think twice about adding circuitry and machine parts to their bodies, but the female is an aberration. So, I mean, there's hypocrisy in this book too.
For sure.
Yeah. okay.
I really like the covers too.
Covers are the best. I think they picked the wrong paper stock for this book because the covers are clay coated. They're very slick, very shiny. And I think it's on the first issue that they use the double, on the back, it has a section of the vista of Bedlam. And if you compare the back cover to the way it's printed in the book, the colors on the back cover are far more vibrant than on the, so maybe the paper wasn't the sufficient weight to accept, all this color, or maybe they just picked the wrong stock, wasn't thirsty. I don't know. But I think the covers really show Higgins's work, where there's almost like a slight blur, like you're looking through a Vaseline haze on some of the panels, where it's not murky, but there's a film. It seems like there's a film over the art, and in the covers, it's not there. It is crisp as hell on the cover. So I don't know. It was early printing process as far as comics. Like they were trying different things: Mando paper, Baxter paper, clay coat covers. It was all new in '90. So maybe they were just trying things. I don't know, but I definitely think there's a divergence between the art, the interior art, and the art on the covers. Very different. And there's actually a fifth ink on a couple of the covers. That pink, you can't get that pink normal CMYK. You got to run that through again. Yeah. Yep. So the production values on this book were very high.
Yeah.
And only $2.50 an issue.
Yes. Yeah, no ads.
I wish.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah, the old DC bullet on the cover. It's and no ads. It was definitely a special event for his. Even the back covers. There's just nothing, no house ads, no nothing from cover to cover. So it was a special event, like I said.
And there are clues that this is planet Earth.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was some of my favorite part, going through like the Animal Funland and Variety and Vogue and
men fucked it up.
Yep.
And the planet scabbed over, and this is what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping for more of that.
So there you go. World Without End. Jamie Delano, John Higgins, DC Comics, Book of the Month.
I don't even know that we heard Dap give his thoughts.
They're pretty much, not necessarily the biblical aspects, because I'm deficient in that, but they're pretty much lined with Vince. There were times where, like around maybe the third or fourth issue, where I'm like, this, I feel like parts of this could have been not condensed, but just shortened a bit. There were a couple of pages where I was just like, I don't, and obviously with the dialogue and everything served a purpose, but as I was reading it, working my way to the final issue, I'm like, parts of this just feel like it's gone on a little long. But overall, I'm glad I have it. I'm glad Vince threw it at me, and glad I finally got around to reading it. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where what type of reader would you recommend this to? What else would they be a fan of? Obviously, 2000 AD. But there are certain things where, like if someone's just reading big two superhero books, or is just all about Brubaker and Phillips or something like that, I'm like, I don't know who I could give this out to. Who feels like branching out of their comfort zone, and you want to try something new? Then here's World Without End. I mean, we've talked about things like Grimjack and Nexus and the bigger games over the years, but for someone who may not have read those stories back then, but this is one where I'm just like, I don't know who I'd say, hey, here's something you might want to read.
Well, I think the design of Brother Bones was entirely reactionary. I mean, for all intents, he's Wolverine. With the claws on the hands and the points on the helmet, and they probably looked at what was selling and thought, let's make it a little akin to the stuff people are buying. And I don't know if that was a good idea. I think the pinnacle of maleness, I don't think it would look like Wolverine. I think that he
short and hairy.
I think he would be, much more bulky and more of like a Goliath, right?
More like an Alan Richardson. Yeah.
Yeah, like musculature, extremely defined, but he has armor on. So if your pinnacle of maleness needs armor in order to succeed, is that really the pinnacle of maleness? Like, I don't know. I like the design of Brother Bones, but when you try and fit it in accord to the things that have been presented in the book, yes, he's a soldier, and soldiers need armor, I guess, and weaponry, but he can't fly. He has to be carted around by the wingman. Like, why not give him wings? If he's the apex of masculinity, he should have every tool at his disposal. He shouldn't have to rely on a subcategory of soldier to get him from point A to point B. These are just nits. Like, I think there are things that could have been fleshed out a little bit more, pun intended. But no, all in all, I still love this book. Because it does take chances. It doesn't play to the choir. It's targeting those people in the shadows that may not realize that, this could be done in comics, where it's not Spider-Man or Superman. It's something really different. And, again, just a lot like what the status quo was at 2000 AD for a long time. This dystopian, scorched earth type, male-dominated society that just tries to enforce their will on those that, may not want to accept it. That's it. All right. Here we go. Can't win them all, right? At least
Can't win them all. It's true.
Hey, it happens. Who suggested this book, by the way? I want to give them a big hug.
You know what? I will see if it's on the spreadsheet. I know we just threw it out there. I believe, it was.
Was it Ian?
I'll find it. I wouldn't be surprised, but
I would love him more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what else? We have lots of comics. Oh, and you know what? If you want to be a participant in this Book of the Month thing, other than just listening to it, you can become a patron. Patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. You actually get to weigh in on what you think we should be talking about for the Book of the Month. Now, things may be changing at the beginning of the...
I'm sorry, because I have it. Hassan.
Oh, wow. Good boy.
Really?
Yeah.
My man.
He does read everything.
It's not all Batman.
Right?
Yep.
He reads everything. We were talking about that on the Slack this week. The man reads every comic. I don't know how he does it. It's incredible.
There you go. So you can actually weigh in as a patron on what you think we should read. And you will be credited, just like that, for your efforts. Among other things, you get a whole bunch of stuff. We'll talk about it at the end of the episode, because we have comics to talk about.
Yeah, you do.
Jason, don't break my heart twice in one episode.
Oh, boy. Okay. What? About what?
Duke, #1.
Oh, yeah. I've already read this thing. I liked it. I said as much last week. Because I read the review comment. Not the review. Whatever that... almost like the galley copy they sent us
right,
a couple weeks back. Yeah.
Well, I actually bought it and read the physical issue. And
no. I'm saying, but I was saying I thought if it wasn't clear, I wasn't sure if you were asking because you didn't know what I thought about it, because I thought I made it clear last week that I liked it. Is what I was getting at. But
all right, Duke #1 was released this Wednesday, written by Joshua Williamson, who is also writing Cobra Commander.
Coincidence? I think not.
I think not. Tom Reilly on art.
My boy, that's a big plus for me for the book.
Yes, Jordie Bellaire, of course, did the colors. And in a nutshell, Duke has PTSD because he saw a giant winged robot, which of course was Starscream,
Yep.
kill his friend, Tyler Frost. And it just shattered him. It pulled the rug out from under him. He was an exemplary soldier. In the beginning of the book is awesome because Hawk is just like setting him up. He's like, man, you were the best soldier. You're a born leader, not only on the battlefield. You aced, training in your class, and you're just the epitome of the soldier. You don't take promotions. You want to be out there in the field, and now you're fucking up because you're a shadow of what you were, and this is not good. And Hawk's just like, you didn't see what I saw, man. He's like, this thing killed my friend, and we got to get to the bottom of this. And try he does. He uncovers this. Now, is this Mars Industries? Is this a G.I. Joe trope, or is this something new?
Oh, yeah. That was Destro's company.
Okay.
Nice.
So,
Like
yes.
the mass device and all that, it was all Mars Industries always.
Gotcha. And he infiltrates this Mars Industries and just sees them ramping up this production of these weapons of war, and he notices in these battle mechs that it's kind of similar to what he saw in the giant robot. And that's pretty much most of the issue. Someone is dispatched to Destro's trying to cover up all the tracks and the loose ends, and he's having people that know anything about what's going on killed. He kills a UFO club or a conspiracy theory club. They're all gunned down, and there are agents dispatched by Hawk to take out or to bring in Duke. And I'm sure Jason probably enjoyed who they chose for these two agents.
Of course, dude. Are you kidding me? Of course. And by the way, the because you didn't give, I don't think, enough respect on Mercer's name. Mercer is the one who captures Duke in the. It's a sergeant. That's one of Slaughter's.
Oh, yeah, I just thought he was a guy.
No, and it was almost like an Easter egg. He was a character who was part of, like I said, Slaughter's Renegades, but his whole deal was he was a Cobra Viper that turned over to join G.I. Joe. I mean, in the OG, he's a reformed Cobra, but in this, obviously, he's still a douche Cobra. So
that's an Easter egg because obviously you would never know that.
Right? Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well, that's cool that they're playing right to the long-term fans.
I respected that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I thought Reilly is getting his best Frank Miller on. A lot of these sequences looks like something Miller would do.
That's a huge compliment. Jeez,
dude, Venetian blinds.
Yeah.
Come on. But the bat, like the melee sequences look very Frank Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I obviously I wasn't in on a lot of the Easter eggs on this. Like I didn't know who Mercer was, but I still very much enjoyed this issue. Yeah, and I also don't know the significance of Rock and Roll and Stalker. Like I know who they are, and I've obviously read comics with these two characters in it, but why would they select those two to go for Duke?
Oh, I mean, I don't think it's. I think you're going too deep. I'm guessing it's because the two characters they want to push right for the next. Like I don't.
Okay.
No, there's like other. I mean, they're all OG Joes, but in this continuity, right? I don't even know if there is a reason or for.
Oh, so like Stalker and Duke didn't come up together, or he didn't save.
Well, maybe in this narrative.
Oh, right.
We do. I mean, we don't get much in the way of backstory in that regard. But yeah, if they want to set the tone of like that they were all like teammates or something. I mean, I'm guessing that's where they're going with it, but I'm saying I don't know that there's any sort of grand G.I. Joe lore that that's how it had to be. But I have to say, I mean, I think Reilly, it's really been remarkable. Like, we really liked him. I can't remember that book. You guys, the one that unfortunately got blown up because of the
Space Astro. Oh shit, Astro Hustle.
Maybe.
Oh, the one he wrote with the dude that got canceled.
Yeah, the guy who gave us El Diablo from the Suicide
and he was
Squad.
super young, right? He was at the time. Tom was like, I mean, like barely drinking age, right?
Yeah,
but was really talented, and we said you could see the Somni line in him at the time. Like, it was sort of definitely I think probably one of his guys he was trying to come up and be like, probably someone he emulated. But I like to see his evolution because he's getting more confident as a storyteller. I think this Duke book, yes, it is a G.I. Joe character book. I'm not going to try and make it out to be War and Peace, but I thought that there were some storytelling challenges that Tom was able to pull off here that, I don't like. It just seems like he's getting more mature, not just like his line's been very good from the jump, but I think as a storyteller composing a page, I think he's getting better. So yeah, I liked everything about this, honestly. Yeah.
Well, it didn't play out like the stack of Joe books I've read in the past. It's more like I don't want to say 007, but it's more covert than the flag waving Yo Joe stuff that I have read. So I appreciated that it's a more personal book, hence the one man name in the title. But I thought it was pared down. And a lot of it's intriguing to me because I don't know a lot of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Astro Hustle.
Okay, there you go.
And
one issue, right?
It was one issue because then Jay Nitz was canceled.
Good day to you, sir.
Peace and hair grease.
Yeah.
And he even tried to build up because they shared a table at C2E2 when we met Tom,
right?
And because that's when I got my Lobo versus Superman commission, and which he ended up, I think, making a color image out of. But Jay was just bigging him up like the whole weekend, and rightfully so. I mean, if Astro Hustle was able to finish, I'm sure it would have been entertaining as hell. But I can tell you right now, I did not buy that first issue because of the writer. That was all, and I've been since then. We've been big Reilly fans. I mean, whether he's doing work at Marvel here and there on some miniseries or other projects, but I'm glad to see him on something as big as the whole Energon universe from Skybound.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Vince, also, since I'm realizing you didn't know who Mercer was, I'm not sure then if it was because you were talking about the final page when they announced that Stalker and Rock and Roll are going after him, but the woman that Hawk's talking to in the helicopter, that's CoverGirl.
Okay, yeah, because I was thinking,
I didn't know
looking at her.
Girl.
Yeah.
I thought it might have been Lady J, but okay.
No, he calls her Krieger. CoverGirl's name is Courtney Krieger. But yeah, so if you know G.I. Joe, you're like, oh, Krieger, it's CoverGirl. But she'd just be woman in the shadows who we'll probably learn more about in the future, which is fine. Yeah, that's fine too.
So who's this Dr. Adele Burkhart?
Is she just for the story?
Oh yeah, I don't know. That doesn't.
Yeah, that's the woman that he meets.
Yeah, I was saying.
They obviously have a file on her, and then he gets back to the crib in D.C. and she's the barely surviving. But yeah, but not for long, obviously. But yeah, I that was a name I wasn't familiar with. The code names I know. Obviously, I know Stalker, I know Rock and Roll, but I wouldn't have guessed Krieger. I wouldn't have known Krieger's code name unless it's revealed that.
Real names of the Joes at me. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah,
I don't know who these people are.
So Adele Krieger was a character in the early continuity, but she's like a supporting character who's been in peril a few times. So there you go.
So they are they're putting little nuggets in there for those who want to uncover them. It's smart. It's really smart.
Yep.
I think the rollout of the Energon universe was really magnificently played. I think they're generating interest. They're keeping the reader excitement high by not just dropping 3 books at once.
Yeah, they're doing a tease.
It's really smart to have to bury Duke's story a little bit. Not bury, but to insert Duke's story into the Transformers and then have it play out in his book and subtly introduce Destro in the first issue, though he's in the shadows. And then that's going to probably be at odds with the Cobra Commander book, which is, because if you're reading that's different, because I keep forgetting that the regular G.I. Joe 302 is not connected to this at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. They're saving the G.I. Joe 1 launch, I assume, for after they set the table with some of these minis.
Makes total sense. Play it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as long as you keep them at $3.99, I'll keep reading them.
There we go.
Or free $99, and some of us get them.
I can't do that.
We get them legit free.
We get digital versions free.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I can't. No.
Yeah. Gotcha.
What else do we have?
What else, fella?
What we got? I read the.
You knuckleheads talk about that Danger Street so I can get it off.
Okay. All right.
All right.
This. I am. Before I got to. Before I finished it. All I kept thinking was. For me, when I see Tom King writing a DC book, a maxi series set in its own continuity based on events that happened in the past or building on what's happened in the past, making its own story, I'm like, this is the end of these characters. We did it with Christopher Chance. I figured, okay, so this is him just writing off Travis Morgan and the Blue Star. Like he's got something against certain characters as I'm writing their final story. And obviously that doesn't necessarily happen with Danger Street, but I enjoyed Danger Street because of the characters that Tom decided to take on and tell a story with. I may not be a huge fan of the kids of Danger Street, but the mystery and watching how everything unfolds was a fun ride. It's definitely one of my it's not my top favorite Tom King maxi series, but I was extremely entertained with it, and the art was solid throughout as well.
Yeah, I think the art's terrific. I don't know how Tom does it,
Right,
and he always gives his art partners credit, but I mean, it's a lot of it has been serendipity, right? I mean, he doesn't, at least earlier in his career, he didn't get to choose artists per se, and it just has worked out so incredibly because, how many of those people he worked with back then that he got kind of randomly paired with are now his sustained collaborators. But I think for me, the conceit of this book, I find very appealing, which is that for those that don't know, the list of characters included in this book is seemingly very odd. It's D or C list characters, and I think for a lot of people, that they were like, oh, okay, I get the conceit. But what I think only became apparent, a little bit later on was the motivation for doing this, which is that a few years ago, Tom came across first issue special, and which was a series that ran from 75 to 76 because Jerry Conway, talk about how things really haven't changed that much. Jerry Conway realized that first issues always sold more, number one issues. And so here we go. What are we talking about? In the middle of early 70s, they're already gaming the system by renumbering. but Conway, so his idea was to come up with a anthology where every issue was a first issue, and it lasted a whopping 12 issues. And all of the characters featured in each of these first issues are the characters that you find in Danger Street. And I thought that was very clever. Very clever. Because I'm sure a lot of people who read this had no idea that that's where they came from. But if you do know, then that makes it even neater. It's just like a little extra dimension to the choices. And that tickled me very much. But yeah, I thought the art was great. I think like anytime you have a cast of tons of different characters, there's going to be some you may feel like are kind of, overexposed or maybe underexposed. There's going to be like a back and forth there, and it probably just comes down to which characters you most identify with. But I thought they found a pretty good balance here. Like, I wouldn't say that there's like a demonstrably different amount of time we see Lady Cop or, the Dingbats or Warlord, right? I mean, it seems like they all have a pretty significant through line in what happens, which is, I think, hard to pull off. So, and for me, I mean, this is the first time I've read comics with several of these characters, right? Like I've never read a Green Team story before, and making the Green Team like the villains is awesome. I think that's very clever. So yeah, I thought it was well done and quirky, and like it can just be its own thing. Like it doesn't have to matter absent any other continuity, which I really liked. And yeah, so it's hard for Tom to disappoint me because I just like his writing style. But I probably agree with you. I don't know that this is my favorite. This is certainly not like my favorite of his maxi series, but I think it's very much another worthy feather in his already bloated resume.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was happy to see Warlord again. I was happy to see the Creeper, although not necessarily a version of the Creeper that I'm used to. But, I mean, he even threw in some new gods, of course. But, no, it was a goddamn Manhunter. I read the first couple of issues they were coming out, and I'm like, I'm going to wait. I don't want to lose the thread. I want to make sure that I give this the attention it deserves. So I plowed through once the 12th issue came out, and it was extremely entertaining. Like every chapter served a purpose. There really was there's one whole issue where there's a duel, there's a sword fight on the roof, and it's obviously there for a reason, but it's not like I was like, well, this issue could have been skipped. Everything from start to finish just worked really well. He does a really good job of working those 12 issue stories, because it's a lot of people, if they are writing it and they know it's going to be collected, they'll do those filler issues and they'll just kind of pad things out. But and every cover, I dig the uniqueness of the covers, whether it's a Fruit Loops spoof or the old timey photo or the issue 10 with the Creeper on. And then of course the last issue is just a group shot like from a yearbook. But I just thought it was it was solid. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. And I'm glad Tom got to have fun with some more of DC's obscure characters.
Not that he or DC should care about my nitpick, but I mean, I really enjoyed it, but I would say if there's one criticism, it would be that basically it's Deus Ex Machina story, right? Like ultimately, like it all gets put back very neatly, almost like genie in a bottle by the end, and like that probably feels reasonably normal in comics because writers always have to reset things back to let other people have them at the starting line. But like, since this is a black label and it's not really connected directly to the DCU per se, like he could have done something different, right? Like, yep, they could have actually all been gone,
like he did with Human Target. Yeah,
right, exactly. So, but that's a minor nit and really doesn't change at least for me, the way I took in the story.
Nice. Hello?
Hello?
Looks really good.
Yes, it does.
I have all those issues.
Ah!
No, I
Pop
do.
them right up.
I have all the first issue specials.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, the OGs. Oh, I
Yeah,
got you. Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
It's a good run. It's a good run. I think it'd be interesting to see how he manages to to insert all of those characters into a narrative. Because
Yeah, that was literally his challenge. Like he was like, "This is crazy. I'm gonna figure out a way to put all these characters into one story that makes sense."
And David, you don't like the Dingbats?
He doesn't like honorary kids, you know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's like saltpeter to him.
I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, keep calling her Lady Cop, and oh, yeah, you're just like, they don't. It's my issue with any kid who doesn't like listen, because they got to figure it out for themselves. They got to learn on their own, and it's like, but if you just stopped and listened, like, we'd save you so much time. But it's
the cycle of life.
Exactly right. I was just gonna say that's life. That's how things go. We didn't listen. Our parents didn't know shit. We didn't. They can't tell us anything we don't already know. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna break open this mailbox because what the hell is my father? They're just things that kids do. But yeah. But reading them now as an adult, I'm like, oh my god, I'll strangle this kid.
So do you not like movies like Stand By Me or The Goonies?
No, I love Stand By Me.
Okay. I mean, aren't they rebellious, punky kids? I mean,
yes, but they are. It's for me with them, and it's the same thing with the Dingbats because they're all friends. But it's these four kids are friends. They are also they are being threatened by bullies, and I just enjoyed. And especially with these four, with River and Corey and Jerry, and I enjoyed the camaraderie and seeing that friendship, and plus it was also it was of a certain era, and it's kind of hard to explain that, but it's because when it was the time that the story was taking place, it's weird, but. I'm a little bit more lenient or forgiving with certain situations, and Stand By Me would be one of them.
okay, a good answer because Stand By Me is freaking special movie.
Oh no, yeah, no, we're good. No, that I love that movie. I didn't. That's one of the short stories of his I haven't read yet. Mm-hmm. Because and the reason I didn't is because I read The Running Man, and I was like, holy shit, this is absolutely nothing like the movie. And it's a great story. I love that idea. And anybody who hasn't read Richard Bach's Running Man story, Bachman, it's anybody who knows the movie with Arnold and Richard Dawson and Carl Weathers and Jesse Ventura, like, we know how that story plays out, but like if you've ever read the short story, yes, the character is being hunted, but he's actually free to kind of like go anywhere in the country, but he still has to like check in from time to time. So he has to send in a videotape for proof of life, but the people hunting him can use it. They always use the people they're hunting. They use those videos for clues to find out where the hell they are, so they can find them. And you see in the story that he gets a little creative in how to record the video and keep it so that you really don't know his surroundings or where he might be. And it's completely different from the movie. And I enjoy them both. But that was one story where I was just like, holy shit, I can't believe like this is so different from the source material. And the only movie that really kind of stays true throughout is Misery, except for the ankle scene. But it was weird. So I just getting back to that, I never read the story Stand By Me is based on, only because, not that I was scarred, but I don't know. I love the movie enough where I really don't want to know how it strays from what King originally wrote in the story.
All right, respect it.
This may be information or maybe news to some of you, but Stephen King has not had a great track record. With
having his ad, yeah. Yes.
Well, we should probably reword it. He has had a tremendous track record of monetizing his IP in movies, but yes, the quality of them has been.
He was impressed with
I mean, there have been some great ones, but there have been a lot of very bad ones.
I think he said that he wishes that he thought up the way the mist ended in the movie.
Right.
He wishes he wrote that ending for the book.
It's a better ending.
It is.
Yeah, it just is.
I mean, we've talked about this many times, but Mist is one of those movies that, like, I feel like nowhere near enough people have seen because they think it's going to be trash, and it's really, I think, a terrific version of that story. Like, we've seen that story a lot, but I love that movie.
Yeah, I can't watch that over and over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
Yeah, the Fire and Brimstone woman, I want to just knock her block off.
Yeah, and she's now on some network show where she plays like a judge mom, and then the dude from Pitch Perfect is her son, and he's a lawyer. I can't think of the name because I've seen the commercial for it. So,
yeah, Marcia Gay Harden.
Yeah, Marcia.
Yeah, she's in it, but she's in it.
She's very good, too good.
She is, yeah.
That she just gets under my skin in that movie, and if I was trapped in the grocery store and she was in there, she wouldn't be in there long.
There you go.
Yeah. If I had any power to evict her. So. There you go. I got stuff to contribute to the Image-O-Rama.
Well, then get to it.
Shit.
All right. You guys know that I'm getting caught up on the Spawn stuff.
Yes, we do know.
I decided to drop the books with the instigation of the Spawn universe titles. And I missed the main book. So, in for a penny, in for a pound, I went back and got them all the books I missed. And I've been slowly creeping up. And I guess I should preface this with, I love Todd McFarlane.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I admire the guy. I admire the guy's skill with his drawing skill, his visual skill. I love his visual voice. We all do, right? More or less. I love the way he changed the toy industry. I love the guy's vision. I love the way that he, like Stan, has become this character. The character of Todd McFarlane, where he's managed to create a memory thing in the minds of people who like his work, where he's not just a person, he's more elevated than that. Like Stan Lee. So whatever I say, just know that I love Todd McFarlane. But he is a ham-fisted lummox of a writer. He really is.
We've known that for a long time.
So is Sean Lewis, who's also writing some of the Spawn books. But words and Todd just don't go well together. And the problem is, he has really, really good ideas.
Yep.
He just presents them in a very juvenile, let's say, histrionic way. Like, the latest issue of Spawn Gunslinger, or Gunslinger Spawn, right? Todd has managed to get artists on his books that are very, very good, in keeping with the aesthetic that he set up on the original book, right? He attracts, with the exception of Simon Kudransky, he attracts a very high caliber of artists that do pretty much what he did, give or take. Like they're approaching it from the same vantage point as Todd. Big, bombastic, the flowing cape and the rattling chains and the Todd McFarlane visual voice is well represented, more or less, with the guys that he's chosen to work on his books. So they're very good-looking books. Problem is, has Todd ever been in the real world? Like, does he know how people speak? And I would love to go back and just look at his history with the written word. Does he know that a comma is not a period? Like, I know I've talked about this before, but the way to approach any of the Spawn titles is you have to take them on their own merits. If you go in after having read a competent writer, the work of a competent writer, you're going to find these books lacking, right? Because, again, like I said, massive grammatical errors. Like, let's just throw a comma in between these two strings, and that's how it works, right? You separate them with a comma. No, there are things called sentences, right? They don't seem to understand these basic truths that, you use a period, that's the end of the sentence. Just because you have two ideas that may be similar doesn't necessitate the use of a comma, and then separate those two strings from the next string with another comma. Like, it's just maddening. You have to distance yourself from the manner by which the text is presented, or you'll go insane. Like, you'll just be picking apart everything. So I've learned to put that kind of, scrutiny on the back burner. So Gunslinger Spawn, I'm not going to go through the whole. You guys really don't care. Spawn brings him to the present from the time, like, say 200 years from America's past, right? When he brought him to the present, a few people tagged along, mostly villains. One of them was this bear hunter named Carl, who Gunslinger saved from this pack of nasty Confederate soldiers. They were going to kill him. So Spawn, Gunslinger kills the attackers, and he patches up the dude's wounds, and he escorts him to the next town. This guy wears a bear skin as a costume. Like, he's got like the Grizzly from Spider-Man. He has the bear head where his face peeking out of the mouth of the bear. Like, it looks cool. It's cool looking. And that's one thing that's a word you can apply to anything Spawn. Like, it looks really cool. Todd has, from making these toys all the time, when they create characters, Todd knows how to create a visually striking character. So I'll give him that, right? So this guy, Carl, he's in the present, and he's got this futuristic armor and these massive guns, and at the end of 26, he blows Gunslinger off his motorcycle. That's the cliffhanger. Bum, 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 blows him off the motorcycle, right? And in 27, he's talking to Gunslinger, and he's like, yeah, I really appreciate all you did for me. You saved me, and you patched me up, and thank you very much. I'm in your debt and stuff. And then he turns all cyborg. The armor, whatever he was wearing, like, extends over his whole body. He turns all cyborg-ish and smashes Gunslinger over the head with a giant tree. The double-page spread of him doing so is really well done. It's just chock full of energy, and it's beautiful to look at. It's amazing. It's an amazing visual take on somebody smashing somebody over the head with a giant tree, right? But as usual, Todd shits the bed with the words. Like, get this. He's talking to him. He's like, let's just say things got strange over time. But before I forget, what did happen to Amy? Amy was Gunslinger's sister, right? And she's dead. I know. You told me, but who killed her? The ones I'm hunting. You know things about that? And so the Carl walks away, and he says, as I said, strange things happened to me along the way. And though I'm thankful for you saving me and all we went through together when we were young, the truth is, and here's the stinger, Here's the stinger at the end of this sequence where he smashes this gunslinger Spawn over the head with a giant tree. Big dialogue balloon. Massive type. We aren't kids anymore. That's the stinger. That's what Todd thinks is like real people talk like. And the anymore is double or more the point size of we aren't kids. Anymore is the stinger. Like what? Like that's not even interesting. That's just weird. But the books are riddled with that kind of shit. Like Todd will have two people fighting, and he goes, "My power levels are higher than yours," and the other character will say, "Oh yeah," and punch him. Like that's Todd. What are you thinking? How is this interesting? It's not. But the joke's on me. Like I said, these things are comical, but the joke's on me. I'm enjoying these books.
Okay.
What's happening? Like the words rarely carry any kind of weight, and it's Todd's modus. It's Todd's working methods is to just throw shit in when he feels like it. Uh-huh. Like, did you know that Spawn's a vampire? I didn't know that. One issue, Todd just bites someone's neck and says, "Oh yeah, Spawns are part vampire." Like, when did this happen? He just makes up shit and just throws it into the narrative. Why not? Like, this guy is supposedly a Gunslinger Spawn knows him. He saved him, patched him back up, and yet they talk. The majority of the issue, they're talking. And it's like, yeah, I remember this, and they do okay, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden he turns villain and smashes them over the head with a giant tree. There's no logic. There's no. Like, I don't understand. I would love to have a talk with Todd McFarlane and say, it's almost like a low budget film where somebody wrote the dialogue not having heard anybody speak in the real world. I don't know how, because you know when you hear something that just sounds off, like normal people don't talk like that. If you're gonna brutalize someone by smashing this impossibly heavy thing over their heads, and you say, "We're not kids anymore," like, you're weird. You're just odd. But I'm enjoying the books. I don't know where else to go with this. Like, joke's on me. Todd has managed to attract me to his books, even though I find a lot of flaws in them. How does one do that? I think that's a testament to Todd's career, right? He's managed to do a lot of things where I don't want to say a lot of the work, but certain elements of the work was kind of mediocre, right? Spawn was right. Spawn wasn't a revolutionary take on superhero. I mean, it's fun and it's cool to look at, but what has kept me buying Spawn for 300 and almost 50 issues? And
that's an excellent question.
What? Right. I don't know what it is. I can't tell you. If I can figure it out, I would do it myself. But, and like he's, the history, he's had issue with Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman and all that stuff where they look down their noses at him. But at the end of the day, I think Todd's doing something right because the guy is very comfortable. He's putting out more books now than almost at any time in his tenure at Image, and God bless him, he's keeping them at $2.99. Try and find a $2.99 comic that's not related to Todd McFarlane. I dare you. With a cardstock cover and the regular amount of pages, a lot of the stuff is goofy. Admittedly, it's goofy, but it's my kind of goofy, I guess. Like, I really can't explain it. Part of me wants to, the elitist in me, oh, why would you read that? The language is terrible, the dialogue's horrible, and this guy just can't write. But the other part of me is like, oh my God, this guy has a chainsaw for a hand. It's so stupid. And you put a female in the Spawn costume, like, she Spawn's pretty smoking. Like, I don't know how else to put it. So it's entirely superficial. Maybe that's it. There's a layer of this stuff that just appeals to that person that was buying comics in the 90s. It's got to be it. Like, what else can it be?
For a writer, he's a great artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, his art. Yeah, I mean, yeah. We've. There's a reason why his art is the most sought after of his contemporaries in the original art market. You know, I mean.
Yeah, Todd's wonderful, but I want to quantify, how does he do this? I watch his Instagram stuff, and he's just like, he's a schmo. Right? I mean, there's not a whole lot going on behind those eyes, but
right.
is there? That's the thing. Like, you can't achieve the amount of success that he has without having some kind of plan, some kind of smarts, right? The movement's
I think he's a good businessman. I mean, just because he's not the best storyteller, I think he's a good businessman. Right? I mean, he's built multiple successful businesses, and people can say all they want about, like, you know, the relative success of them, but, like, they're all still around, and that's not easy, right?
Yeah, and he just finds more ways to move plastic. Like, it's insane. He hooks up with DC. Who saw that coming?
Yeah.
Right? They had their own, I don't know how successful it was, but they had their own ways of making and distributing these action figures, and Todd just steps in. I'm sure it wasn't as easy as that, but point being, he is now the creator of DC Comics action figures. Like, it's nuts. He's doing Warhammer. He's got, of course he has Walking Dead, but just like a ridiculous amount of money generated on that aspect of the hobby.
All the sports action figures too. I mean, he has the licenses for all
he still does the starting lineup?
I thought he did. No, I don't know. I mean, does he not anymore?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. He's a conundrum. I just don't. I don't get it.
Well, what I've always liked about Todd, like, humanistic, is that he seems like a dude who you call him like we know exactly who he is. He doesn't pretend to be anything else. And he's authentic, and he lives a fucking great life. Like, he's a bro who got rich and successful, and he just lives the life he wants to live. And, like, but he doesn't try and put a coating over it. I mean, he's like unapologetic about his success and his directness and his, you know, penchant for lavish, you know, bombastic style. Like, I think he's unapologetic about who he is.
Yeah. And it's so funny, in every issue, whether it's King Spawn or Gunslinger or this, you know, the regular Spawn book, there's a whole page that is just devoted to the power meter. He still uses the power meter.
Of course, does.
Like, does anyone care about the power meter at this point?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's still there. And you see it definitely.
He had to have written a future state story at this point, though, right? Like to show what happens at the end, or no?
Oh, jeez.
Like, all these years later, you still haven't seen what happens when the power meter runs out.
No, he just runs out of power.
Okay.
And so if he's going into a dangerous situation and it's at like 1 something, he's in trouble. But if it's like, you know, if it's 9999, he's going to kick ass. It's just
does each writer use the?
Oh no! Don't get too tied up in it. No, it's just there's no science behind it. He just picks some low numbers for when his power is at the ebb, and it's not. It's just there to take up a page. But it's so funny. I truly am enjoying these books. Like, Scorched is really good, but there is some light at the end of the tunnel because John Layman has come on recently, and the text and the dialogue has improved remarkably. I mean, it's John Layman, but I know John Layman can't write all the books. Todd's not going to relinquish any of this stuff. So, I mean, he has people writing them, and then it says, script McFarlane, written by the person, and it's just so he's still invested in them. It's just like Steven Segovia is drawing or did draw the Scorch. Segovia is a great artist.
For sure.
Yeah. So it's just, he gets really good people, aside from Simon Kodransky, to illustrate his books. And so visually they're a treat. It's just, wow, let's get this. I think the writing could be much, much better. And I think he should strive to do it. If you're going to put out 10 books, in this previews, he's got Sam and Twitch coming out with Kodransky. But I'm hoping that the writing improves, because if you're going to have a line of books that you consider very prestigious as Todd McFarlane's Spawn universe, like let's have the right. He can afford to bring in good writers. Is what I'm saying. So yeah, there you go, Gunslinger Spawn.
Oh yes,
the character design of Gunslinger is great. Like, I think it's just masterful. The 10-gallon hat, the long coat, the fucking 6 shooters. It's just really visually striking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There you go.
Right on.
I hope he doesn't think I'm shitting on him. Like, I love Todd McFarlane, but let's get the writing.
I'll ask him tomorrow after he listens to you.
All right, let's get the writing scaled up on these books. Yeah. I think they would be much better sellers if all the commas were taken out.
Maybe he's writing for Shatner. Maybe he wants all those pauses.
Mm-hmm.
So this way,
then use an ellipsis.
Still on the CGS forms. Yes. Yeah.
It's fun.
Throwback.
Oh, goodness. What was the dude who was it Lord Vader? Is that what his name was? No,
Lord Shaper.
Lord Shaper, yeah.
And that was Damien from Australia.
Right.
And his podcast co-host was your Nemesis Lobo.
Oh,
well, he went
right.
by Lobo, but yeah.
That's right.
Brian.
Oh goodness.
Brian Morris, Brian something, but yeah, he yeah, it was.
There you go.
Those little clicks. Man, what a time.
Yes. Those were the days.
Yeah, seriously. Read the 3rd issue of Wesley Dodds Sandman, and continuing the mystery of who burned the house down, who may know Wesley's secrets. We get a little bit more of Wesley as Sandman, obtaining clues and meeting with the coroner to find out about the person who did burn the house, and whether or not more people were involved, or if this person was just the scapegoat or the fall guy. And there's some neat little conversations when because Wesley is staying at the penthouse of one of his father's friends, and when he shows up, Vanderlyle is his last name. So when Vanderlyle shows up, he brings Diane in with him, and he's just straightening up Wesley's mess, and he realizes there's some police files here, and Wesley plays it off by saying, "Well, I'm trying to rebuild the house, so I'm using these the files for like background checks," and which Vanderlyle believes. But while Wesley and Dad's friend are chatting, Diane is going through some of the paperwork, and she pulls Wesley over to the side because there's one person who may have had a hand in what Wesley's going through. So he kind of hurries Vanderlyle out of the place, and then goes about as Sandman trying to solve this mystery. But he comes face to face, or mask to mask, with the person who stole his gun and the gases, and dressed in pretty much all black, Similar gas mask, slightly wider brim over his around his. I'm not gonna call it a fedora, but his chapeau. But it's a little bit of a fight that happens between the two of them. Not that Wesley's great at hand to hand, but does his best and is able to thwart the nemesis for the time being. And during the fight, ends up slamming his mask gets taken off. Wesley's mask gets taken off. So as the bad guy is spraying gas all over the place, Wesley's sitting here trying to hold his breath, but he grabs he grabs the gun and jams it into the eye socket of the mask of his enemy, and of course now takes the mask off and tries to run out of the place because now he's about to inhale a whole bunch of gas. So we do see this person's face. It doesn't seem to be anybody the panel and a half that we see his face doesn't look like anybody we've come across in the previous two issues. So but not necessarily just because there's a little bit of he gained the upper hand in this fight doesn't mean that the issue ended well, because again he was still doused by a good bit of the gas. So I guess he'll be tripping in the fourth issue. Maybe that might be the best outcome he could hope for, but it was it's Reilly, so it looks amazing. I don't know how long this arc is supposed to be. I don't even know if these are ongoings, these Golden Age books, or if they're all minis leading up to something. But I don't know. Listen, if I was Venditti, I'd write for Reilly to draw whatever the hell he wants, as grand as he wants. So but I don't know if this story. I don't know how much longer it's going to run for. I don't want to say drawn out. I'm worried that it's going to feel drawn out as we continue, because even though we've only had 3 issues, Wesley's still in the dark as far as who did this. So I'm just not sure. And again, it's stupid to even talk about something that's unfinished. So I don't know how long we have to go before the end game. But it just, after 3 issues, there are parts of it that just feel like it's moving a little slow. And Venditti's a talented writer, no doubt about it. But again, I don't know that this could be a case of, listen, I got Reilly Rossman drawing my book. I'm going to draw it out for as long as I can because these pages are gorgeous. So it's a good problem to have, I guess. I'd like to see a little bit more traction, I think, but it's still a gorgeous looking book. And I haven't read the 3rd issue of the Alan Scott yet, but as far as any Golden Age stuff, I'm really enjoying the Sandman.
That splash is gorgeous.
Which one?
From issue 3. No, when he's it looks like another Sandman-ish character. Yeah. Really nice.
Yep.
But again, redundant because it's Reilly. Of course, it's going to look good.
And even the I keep mentioning Robert Venditti as on your writing, and Reilly, of course, is your amazing artist. Your colorist is Ivan Placencia. So it's a good team. They're doing some really solid work.
Yeah. I didn't mention I don't think I mentioned it when I was talking about Gunslinger, but the artist in question is Dexter Soy. I don't think I said that. Very good artist.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. It's been a minute since
it's usually Brett Booth, but he got pulled to work on Spawn 350, so Dexter Soy is drawing Gunslinger. And he's great. Yeah, there you go. All right. We want to wrap this baby up?
Not before we remind them of the things they have to do.
Yes, they have things to do. The first of which, we desperately need some album art for 2024. What's album art? Well, it's the image that represents our show in your little podcast player, wherever you listen to this thing, for the entire year. And we want you to come up with something. Make sure it's square, 300 DPI, work 4x4, 6x6. Just give me something, give me a little bit of meat because when it gets shrunk down, we want to capture the magnificence of your image faithfully. Don't send it low bit rate, please. So 300 DPI, square format, and you can email it to info, right, at 11o'clockcomics.com.
Yes.
Yeah, do it. Oh, and should you be chosen as the person that will represent this shitstorm in 2024, you will not only receive the accolades of everybody in fandom, but you get to come on for an episode with us. You get to guest host. Tony may or may not be here.
Kick Tony out of the fourth chair.
No, that'd be kind of cool if we brought somebody in with Tony. But yeah, you get to.
I think so. But.
You may you guest on an episode. We may do stuff with the image other than the album art. Who knows? But that has, as with many things, 11 O'Clock Comics, that has yet to be defined. So get on that. What else, Jason?
Well, that's right. As we alluded earlier, you have an opportunity soon, as we will, to celebrate all the goodness of 2023. Who will be Vince's Publisher of the Year? What will DAP's favorite book be? You will find out in 3 or 4 weeks. We'll set the date soon. But what we need you to do, and many of you have already, but for those that need another reminder, if you go to our website, 11o'clockcomics.com, on the top left tab, DAP has set you up with a link to the Google form for the balloting for the 11 O'Clockers. And there are 30-something categories. You can fill out as many or as few as you'd like. And you can also, as long as you use your real email address, you will be able to come back and edit your ballot, update it, change it, delete it, whatever you want to do, up until the day that we announce will be that things close. And we usually close it like the Friday before we do the episode. So you probably have another 3 weeks. 3 weeks to get those ballots in. So let's get on it. Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Ice Ice Baby. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, boy. Well, there you go. Hey, everybody, thank you for listening to this once again. We hope you come back next time. In the meantime, go to cheapgraphicnovels.com and save a whole bunch of money on your stuff. Trade paperbacks, omnibus, OGNs, manga, massive savings. Get the confirmation, reply to the confirmation, get free shipping on your next order. Easy as pie. Also, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. We have a whole lot of shaking going on. Jason just did a video every day for, what was it, 28, 29 days?
How many? 24 days.
24 days. The Advent videos. They're all awesome and all Jason. We have audio that you can download and listen to that no one else gets to hear. Hours and hours of it. Images, covers, polls, dedicated Slack channel. It's pretty fun. Just go there. Patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. Keeping the Image-O-Rama rolling. This is a very, very soft sell because you know the person, you've heard him here many times. I want you to go out and read Local Man. I got caught up on it. I'm not going to spoil it because I don't think DAP got caught up on it. Mm-hmm. But Crossjack, who now goes by the name Local Man, is dosed with psilocybin. He is offered a cup of tea that is riddled with psilocybin. So for the past 2 issues, he has been tripping balls. And receives a text from Inga, who says, why don't you come over? I got something for you. And sends him a picture of what Jack thinks is a gooch. got a butthole, part of a vag. He thinks it's a gooch. But remember, he's tripping balls. So he says, okay. He texts her back. He said, I got something we can put in there. And he sends her a dick pic. Jesus Christ. The picture she sent him was of a donut with sprinkles. And he sends her a dick pic.
That's awesome.
I texted Tony and I said, man, I love you so much because you just made me laugh out loud like a silly fool. And the really cool thing about these issues, which is 7 and 8, is that Jack trips throughout the narrative. And Tony and Tim exploit the conventions of comics. Jack interacts with sound effects. He bumps into panel borders. He can physically interact with dialogue balloons. It's pretty fun. And they took it one step further. It's not in issue 7. In issue 8, Jack interacts with every ad in the back of the book. Yeah, it's really neat. Like after Tim's sequence, you have, oh no, they're in Tony's. You have a full page, even the image info page that Tony and Tim have been writing, where they just, get all Stan Lee and just write about something of interest to them and hopefully their readers. And at the bottom of the page, they'll put image books of note that they think their readers would enjoy. Jack is talking and he's kind of hunched over and he goes, there's a paragraph for Dutch on the right. And he's looking at it, he goes, oh, Dutch. Like it's very Deadpool. They're in the ad for Zoe Thorogood's Hack Slash. He's on that. He's on the Stray Dogs ad. He's on the Hack Slash ad. He's on the Images of Local Man. He interacts with the actual art for that. It's crazy. So breaking the fourth wall via psilocybin. Read Local Man, Tim Seeley, Tony Fleecs. It's friggin' great.
That's awesome.
You know what? I have to say, too, it is on its way to being the best reviewed work of his career, I think.
As it should be.
Yeah, I'm saying it's pretty neat. It's because, when we had him on, right? Like, obviously, Stray Dogs was this massive hit for him commercially. And then we talked about Feral, hopefully being the follow-up to that. And we, didn't talk about Local Man, which I can only impute from that, the way that conversation was going, that Local Man has been more of a labor of love than a labor of profit, right? In terms of sales. But it seems like it's hitting a lot of different types of readers. Like I'm seeing positive reviews of it all over the place. So maybe it'll have maybe it'll be like a Vertigo-esque. It'll have like a long shelf life for them, even if it's not like the longest running series.
That would be nice.
It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It is good shit. In your travels, might as well make it a Tom King-O-Rama.
TKO-Rama.
So we've got the 4th issue of Wonder Woman, and I don't know, and I feel like Tom missed the joke by not having Wonder Woman visiting this sick kid in the hospital, but she does visit him at home. This young boy Jack is dying, and he's basically Wonder Woman's biggest fan. Think of the kid who collects Spider-Man from Roger Stern. It's similar to that, where and so Tom King is your writer, Daniel Samperi. Got to find out how to pronounce his last name. Is your artist. Stunning. I enjoyed this artist on Superman or action during the War World stuff, and even though we're not talking about years apart, mere months, this art is blowing the Superman stuff away. This Wonder Woman is stunning, but while she's visiting Jack, of course, the government is still still has a hard-on for basically having a war on the Amazons. And we find out that a little bit more information on the people who are or the kings of the king of the United States of America, pulling the strings of the presidents. It's not the president who's in charge all these years. It's something else entirely. And while that subplot is going on, Wonder Woman takes Jack into the invisible jet, and he says it's silly and it probably can't happen, but he would really like to visit Paradise Island. And she's briefly hesitant, but Diana does take him, and of course the Amazons meet them there. They aren't happy that she's here, or that she brought this young boy with her. But nobody, it doesn't matter. Hippolyta, Nubia, the current queen, Nubia, they, none of them, or I'm sorry, the current ruler is Philippus. None of them ever rule Diana for all of her power, no matter who's sitting on the throne and is ruling over the Amazons. It's pretty much known that whatever rules govern the rest of the state, they don't apply to Wonder Woman. Then they have a wonderful day together, and while that's going on, of course, the president makes his speech basically condemning Wonder Woman and the Amazons, and things are going to get hairy. But it was a really, really good issue, touching moments in spots. It's the conversation Jack has with Diana, the talks they have are fantastic. And again, she's taking care of him for the day, granting him like she's John Cena. She's going to make a wish, but
I was going to make a John Cena joke.
So, it's the whole backdrop though is basically the government coming down on the Amazons, and of course there's a page or two with Steele talking to Waller, and it's just it's not going to be pretty. But these quiet moments that Diana gets to have, Tom shines here, and it's a really good issue. I've enjoyed each issue as they've come out, and each issue kind of knocks the previous one down a notch because they just keep getting better. And this fourth issue was really, really good. And of course we get another World's Finest backup with John and Damian, and of course Trinity. But it's this one was great because this backup, they're at the Fortress of Solitude, and Damian, of course, being the dick that he is, he's just talking about how he was training with superbots, and he took out 4 of them single-handedly, which just goes to show you that Damian have no problem ever taking out John were they ever to fight. And John's like, why would we ever fight? We're the bestest super friends, and I'd crush you, and it'd be super boring. But Lizzie is just wandering around the Fortress of Solitude for some reason, and then they realize, holy shit, she ends up with Black Mercy on her chest, just like For the Man Who Has Everything, and she's living her best life, basically being a ruler and having the boys fight in gladiatorial combat, and then she comes swooping in to show them how it's done. And while all this is going on, Damian and John are trying to figure out the best way to remove this plant without killing her. It's just an all around fun little story, and this time in the background with the trinity of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman makes a whole hell of a lot more sense here at the Fortress of Solitude than a painted portrait hanging up in Wayne Manor. But it was still a so I'm curious to see if Tomio also picks up this last page. But this is a great little backup. I'm really enjoying this little these world's finest tales. But the main story itself and for Wonder Woman, really good. So in your travels, if you haven't yet, check out Wonder Woman by Tom King.
Dirty Diana. That's a Wonder Woman book we'd all like to see.
Yes.
In your travels, check out the new collaboration by the Tamaki cousins, Mariko and Jillian. It's their 2023 graphic novel, Roaming. About a decade ago, I'd say. Maybe, 9-10 years ago. They worked together on a book called This One Summer. I've talked about it way back 10 years ago on the show. Absolutely loved it. And they've both gone on to, have pretty robust careers, both as comics creators, but also in other forms of media, including writing well-known TV shows. But nevertheless, I love that they still come back together to collaborate every few years. I don't know if it was their first graphic novel, but they did a book together called Skim back in the day, and then This One Summer, and then they've done a few more. I love that they come home to each other to do stories after kind of going off and doing their own things. That's kind of cool. But Roaming is basically a love letter to New York City. So Vince has said many times he loves New York City. He would definitely get that out of this. It is very, very well researched. I assume the Tamakis have either lived in or spent a lot of time in the New Jersey, New York area, because everything about the book in terms of the tourist experience is very authentic, including even the way that the Newark airport is drawn and the monorail. It's clear that Jillian knows these things from her mind. She didn't have to research it. But anyway, it's a story of 3 college-age girls. They're freshmen. 2 are childhood best friends who go to different schools, and they agree to meet up for their vacation in New York together. And then one of them brings her new friend from school along as well. And it's like a 3 or 4 day window into their lives going through New York. And then there's a kind of a relationship tangent with the new girl meets the old friend and that whole thing. But at the end of the day, this is just the Tamakis trying to capture what it would be like to be in New York City for the first time at an age where everything sort of looks wondrous. And no, I like that. Now, I've joked before when we've talked about love letters to New York. I'm not I don't need a love letter to New York. I've spent half of my life in New York City, and I've said many times I'm good. If I would love to go back as a tourist, once or twice a year, that's great. I love New York Comic Con now because it feels like I'm just there to enjoy the things about New York and not have to worry about the rest. But yeah, I would say this is a very, very uplifting, take on, New York tourism. So kudos to him. I will just say there's a caveat though, and not that the caveat really matters, but this is a book that's just running away with some of the awards. It will probably be at or near the top of the meta list that I do for how many sites that nominate their best of stuff. This one's pretty much been on every ballot so far. And I have to say, it's a well executed coming of age story, but I don't think I could put this up there. I think it's a good book, and certainly I enjoy when they work together, but I don't quite understand how this could be the best book of the year. It's because I don't think there's it's not anything distinctive enough for me about this to say okay, this is this is something that stands above all else. But again, I don't want to sound like I'm diminishing. I really did enjoy it. So it's absolutely worth your time. If you're into the Tamakis, this will certainly make you feel good about their latest venture together.
Nice. Vincent is good timing.
Right? Yeah. I was thinking about it like I loved Ducks, which was up there for my book of the year last year with Zoe's book, and like that's kind of a similar like autobio take. But for me, like what made Duck so interesting is, first of all, it's a much longer like examination of their life.
Yeah.
Like but also it's like it's this weird, even though it's real, it's this strange juxtaposition of this young artsy girl ending up in this like deep like industrial oil complex where like it's all these gruff day working men, right? And like that's fascinating that like it's like fish out of water. Whereas, like, this is just, like, three, wide-eyed girls visiting New York. Like, so it's, like, there wasn't really, like, there wasn't not a gravitas isn't the right word, but there wasn't, like, anything unique about these girls' existence that made the window into their lives all that interesting to me,
Mm-hmm.
But you liked it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm. I was just saying, Vincent, though, that it's like at or near the top of the meta list that I do. Like it's like quote unquote book of the year type of thing, and I didn't quite understand that level of adoration for it.
Gotcha. Save yourself some time and aggravation, not read those lists.
I get more compliments from our patrons about that list than I do any other post that I do. So
there you go.
Gotta give the people what they want.
All about
keep the people happy.
It's all about the adoration. I love you so much. And I love you, the listener.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, so much. Remember, go to some comic shops, get you some books, talk about them online, preferably on the EOC Facebook page or other forms of social media, and then come back this next week because we'll probably be talking about them as well.
I think you're right.
We wish you a very happy New Year.
100%.
If you had
this year, and we're looking forward to doing it again in 2024. We're looking forward to seeing a bunch of you at Heroes too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
lots more in 24.
If you had a good year, we hope it continues. If you had a bad year, we hope it gets better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very well said. Yeah.
Thanks. In the meantime, say goodnight. I have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I have absolutely nothing. I had to take everything off the shelving because of the cat. There was never a ledge that a cat didn't want to knock something off.
I love it.
David.
Good night.
Boop 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 bop boop beep bop bop. Screw up. You're gonna lose it.
Nothing.
Nah, I can try and knock you off to your game.
I don't know why you would want to do that.
You tit.
What's the fun? You're a tit. Jesus Christ, David.
Nicely done. Tell them you love them.
You already did.
Yeah.
Do it again. It bears repeating.
We love you more than
Vince loves you.
Baby New Year.
Yeah.
That's it for that one.